Lead Up listeners, welcome to episode 426. I'm your host and publisher, Mike Harbour. As always, really grateful that I had the opportunity to share with you, the listener. If you're a returning listener, thank you so much for continuing to put your trust in me and the Lead Up podcast. If you're new here, this is episode 426. We're talking about Mission Possible, crafting and communicating a clear vision for success. I'm going to give you several steps that you can take right now as a leader to be an elite leader, to craft mission that engages your team and propels them forward into the future. So if you're new here, grab a pen, grab some paper, and get ready to take some notes. I'm really excited to be here with you. A clear mission is more than a polished statement on your website. Maybe you think right now the company you work for, or maybe even the team that you lead or the company you lead has a clear mission. But we have to understand it's more than what we put on our website, on the wall, on a coffee mug. It's really a driving force for every decision, every leadership, every hire that you make. It should be that driving force that helps you move forward and create that success story that you're really after. Here's the reality though, in a fast-paced and constantly evolving world, and as we record this, the pace of change it's like at Mach 5, right? I know you know that. I mean, things are, because here in the States especially, we've just undergone new leadership change from a political standpoint, and I don't talk about politics at all on my podcast, but it's accelerated the uncertainty. It's accelerated the pace of change. Whether you believe that's good or bad, we've been in a state of change for a long time. It's just accelerated, and so it's in this constantly evolving world where no matter what industry you lead, and if you're in healthcare or any other major organization that is impacted by these changes, many leaders have struggled, are struggling to align their teams to the mission that you have. So what I want to challenge you to do today is just stick around, grab a pen and paper, listen in, shut your door, turn your lights off if you have to so you don't get bothered. But we're going to be digging deep into why mission clarity is essential. And then I'm going to give you some steps, some clear steps, some actionable steps that you can take to drive that mission forward. And then I'm going to talk about how storytelling is a gift for you as a leader. I'll tell several stories today to help just kind of prove that point. So let's dive into episode 426. This is going to be a powerful message for you. This comes right from our philosophy of the elite leader. Elite leadership is what people see, but also how we do leadership. But here's the real question for you. How do we become elite? How do you become an elite leader? Like, you're in a leadership role. Maybe you have the title of a leader, but what helps us arrive at elite leadership? And again, I've defined what elite leadership is in the past. I won't do that today, but from the outside, great leaders make it look easy. I'm sure you know some great leaders. I've been around some great leaders myself, and just they've inspired me to continue to grow and be better. They inspire, they drive results, they're trusted and respected. Hey, even at a time when trust is at an all-time low right now around the world, they become trusted and respected by others. But what others may not see clearly, that's where the elite have done the work, the real work to grow and to get better. One of the things I want to challenge you to do, and I'm not at all saying I'm an elite leader. I think I'm really good. I've become something I wasn't because of one thing. A lot of things, but the main thing is study. This continual state of mind of learning, continuous learning, continuing to learn new information, drive new information into my heart, mind, and soul. But there's other things that elite leaders do. They are able to create alignment and hold people in alignment to our mission, our values, and our purpose, even when it's hard. And it's really hard right now. Leadership's never been as hard as it is right now, I don't think. Not in the 30 years I've been doing leadership. It's as hard as it's ever been. We've got lots of factors that are at play right now in leadership. But elite leaders also, they own mistakes. They don't make excuses. They let go of control so their team can thrive. Again, that's one right there I've really had to learn, is how do I equip others and empower them to do the things that I feel like I'm really good at or I need to get done right? How do I delegate that to be able to do it? To get them to be able to do it in a better way so that I can do things that are more in my strength zone. Elite leaders lead under pressure without breaking. Again, I think that's a skill that has to be developed, that you don't panic, that you're able to remain calm under pressure. You're able to provide hope in those critical times. And we're in critical times right now, leaders. And these are things that if you just evaluate yourself, a 1 to 10, where are you at? 10 being you're perfect in these. What do you need to do to get better, to grow, to become elite? And then one last thing that elite leaders are able to do is push yourself and others beyond your comforts. This is probably a major challenge for every leader that I'm speaking to today, because there are so many people in the world today, so many employees in the world today, in the workforce today, that are challenged with this idea of being burnt out, being overwhelmed, being overworked, having too much to do. And what I don't want you to hear me say is I'm not saying none of that's true or not true. It could be, all of it could be true. I don't know. But I do know that when we allow those things to prevent us from moving forward, and we want to settle in this comfort zone, life requests us to get complacent in our leadership and in our being able to push beyond our comfort zone. And so I want to challenge you, the Lead Up Podcast listeners today, I want to challenge you to step outside your comfort zone with some of what I'm going to talk about today. Okay, those are just a few steps. And I think what I'm sharing with you today requires you to be an elite leader. It's really easy, and where I see 90% of the leaders I work with today, it's really easy to just kind of come to work and focus on the task. Focus on what's got to get done. Focus on the work that's right in front of me versus why are we doing it, being missional driven. And so I want to challenge you today to take heart to what I'm sharing with you today, because your leadership is not about titles. It's not about, task all the time. Yes, we got to get results, and I'm a very results-driven leader. But it is really about tough decisions. It's about resilience. It's about the ability to step up and step in when it counts, and persevering through all of the challenges that we face as leaders. So let's dive in more to what I want to share with you today. Hopefully you've already gotten some great notes to say, okay, I want to be an elite leader. What are some things I need to work on and grow? And again, it's easy. It may be easy for you to say, when I went through that list of things, it may be easy for you to say, well, I'm good at owning my mistakes. I don't make excuses. Good for you. But evaluate that. In my book, Quit Losing Talent, I teach a principle called practicing sapere videre, where it's looking back, looking forward, using insight to move forward. I challenge you to look back. Where have you failed to own a mistake before? Where have you laid it off on someone else? Like, if you do that at times before, eventually, all of us eventually take ownership. But are you quick to take ownership, or do you delay that ownership in your life? That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying you're not doing a great job. Just evaluate that and say, could I do a little bit better? Okay, let's dive in. Why clarity in mission-driven leadership matters. Write that point down. Here's the truth about leadership. If you don't know where you're going, neither will your team. Clarity in mission isn't just nice to have, it's a non-negotiable. I have worked with hundreds and hundreds of people, thousands of leaders, thousands of employees, hundreds of companies. The companies that know where they're going and are able to communicate that and demonstrate that to their employees, to their workforce, run at a much faster pace, at a more efficient pace, at a more productive pace than those who don't. Clarity is king. One of the things that we do here at Harbour Resources, and we're always trying to get better at, is we spend a lot of time communicating about what our goals are, why those are important, how we're going to get there, when do we need to get it done. We're constantly trying to create clarity and set pacing that we have to move forward and not get complacent. Just had a meeting with my team this morning about, hey, we've got some good things going on. We can cruise for a little bit. We can set the cruise control for a little bit, but we've got about 8, 9, 10 weeks where we're going to have to run really, really fast. And it means we got to remove the cruise, and there's going to be times where we got to press the gas and go faster. There's going to be times where we brake to slow down and make some adjustments, and really communicating those things. And also, by the way, we can't get complacent because, yeah, we've got good things going on now, but we want to make sure we have good things going on in 3 months, 5 months, 6 months from now as well. So there's things we've got to continue to do that got us to this place of momentum. And so for you as a leader, this is about creating clarity of where you're going, of why you're going there, of how fast the pacing is important. Like I talk about pacing a lot with my team, just as I described this morning. We've got 9 or 10 weeks right now with my company, with my team, where the pace is going to be really, really fast. We're going to probably have to work more 10-hour days than 8-hour days over the next 10 weeks. And we don't do that all the time. We have some weeks where we work, 25, 30-hour weeks. That's the beauty of the business that we're in. There's times where I got to run really hard, and there's times I can back off a little bit. But for you as a leader, setting clarity around where you're going, why you're going, and how fast, like what's the pacing. Healthcare in particular, if you're in the healthcare space listening to this, presents lots of unique challenges, right? There's rapid innovation, regulatory constraints, the uncertainty of where the government's going right now, the needs to put, patients first. And it's easy to get lost in the day-to-day grind. As leaders, it's our job to rise above the noise, rise above the minutia of that, and give our teams a unifying purpose to provide hope. I saw a study recently from Gallup. I should have had that available for this. I'll look that up. But hope is the number one thing that the workforce, people, are looking for in the world today. And so your job as a leader is to rise above the day-to-day grind and provide this clarity and hope for your team, for those that you lead. That's what clear purpose, clear mission is all about. In my book I wrote years and years ago, back in 2015, but it's still a great book even today, Power Principles. You can go get it on Amazon if you're interested, but I shared this leader affirmation. I'm a big believer in kind of affirming things that you want in your life. And the affirmation was this: I am clear about the mission. I spend my time working on and accomplishing what is most important for the team, for the organization, for the customer. Without clear purpose, without clear mission, it'll be real easy for you to get distracted by problems, by minor challenges, by employee issues. But when you rise above that and spend time on working on what's most important for your team, values, teamwork, collaboration, trust for your organization, you're going to provide better customer support in that regard. When you do that, you're able to help the team understand the overarching why behind their work. They become more engaged. They feel more hopeful. They're more focused and more willing to push through challenges. They become more solution-oriented. How many of you raising your hand right now saying, amen, I need some more of that? See, without clarity, your team runs the risk of becoming a group of disconnected individuals rather than a cohesive, mission-focused team. And I know that's what you want. Simon Sinek, who we all know, said in his book, Start With Why, where he explains this. He says, people don't buy what you do. They buy why you do it. See, this applies to your team too. If they don't feel the mission, they won't bring their best to it. And so your job as a leader, maybe the most important job, is to help them feel the mission. Like, we've got to get it inside of them. What we feed people will come out of them, right? That food, that missional food, that purpose-driven food, that purpose-driven leadership that you give them is what gives them energy. You do know this from a science perspective. What you eat, how you eat, provides your energy. Eat poorly, eat a bunch of sugar all day, guess what? You're going to have a sugar, a breakdown in your energy level by the afternoon, right? We all know that. Think about that with your team. What are you feeding? Are you feeding them food that nourishes, like energy, hope, mission that nourishes them? Or are you just complaining? You're not providing them anything. We got to focus on the work. Your energy's low. I mean, think about that. This is so important. Let's talk about the next thing. I'm going to help you define clear and actionable mission. This is, so I've talked about, the why it's important. And you know what clarity is. But here's the next thing you have to do is craft the mission that's both inspiring and actionable. Now, here's what I want to challenge you with right now. You may be working for an organization that has a mission statement, has a purpose statement. You say, I don't need to create one. I recommend every leader has one for their department. Maybe it ties into the overall mission of the organization. You could work for an organization that they've got it posted on the wall, but they don't really follow it. It's not a guiding beacon for them. So create your own. I've never been a leader. I've never been a person that waits on someone else to do something for me. I just don't. And so I'm challenging you. Look, this is me calling you out of your comfort zone a little bit. As a leader, create your own mission, create your own purpose for your team that you lead. Don't wait on the organization to do that for you. Now, if you're an organizational leader, help your team do that. So I'm calling you out of your comfort zone. Let's quit being comfortable with leadership. Look, elite leadership is stepping out of comfort zone. We can no longer, we're in a time of need the world's never seen before. The world, I've been saying for years, the world's screaming for leadership. And it's screaming louder right now than it's ever screamed. And so I'm calling you out of that comfort zone to do something different. This is my challenge to you today. So here's the 3-step process that you need to get started. Define the why, okay? Define your why. Start with purpose. Why does your team, why does your company, why does your organization exist? What's the impact that you want to make? My company exists to help people become their best, to bring out the best in people, to help you as an individual, to help you as a leader, live into your fullest potential as a leader, to not leave you where you are, but to take you to that next level of leadership. That's why we exist, to help leaders, to help companies create leaders that live into their fullest potential. What's the impact you want to make? Look, we want every person, we want every employee to be led well. That's really the impact that we want to make. So every employee that's not in a leadership role, but we believe deserves great leadership. The impact is we want every leader to be an elite leader. We want every employee to be led well by an elite leader. And that has nothing to do with metrics. It's about meaning. And how can we impact the world a little bit more? Peter Drucker said many years ago, if you don't know who he is, go look him up. He was considered the father of modern management back in the day when I was a young man. But he said, culture eats strategy for breakfast. If you define your mission purely around goals and KPIs, you're missing the heart of leadership, your culture and your purpose. I remember hearing a story about Truett Cathy once where his team was challenging him. Truett, we got to grow. We got to build more stores. The competition is outpacing us. And he got kind of upset in that meeting. He said, guys, before we get bigger, we have to get better. And really what he was saying is, let's focus on who we are, what our culture needs to be, how we're going to treat others, how we're going to treat our employees, how we're going to lead in the world of fast food. Now we know the story. If you don't know the story of Chick-fil-A, just go investigate their performance, their results, their success. It's not focused on numbers. It's focused on mission, culture, values. So the first step is get clear on that, right? The next is break it down. Once you have your why, translate it into some actionable parts. A clear mission doesn't just convey the big picture. It highlights specific ways your team contributes to the vision. A good mission statement answers these 3 questions. Who do we serve? What do we offer? Why does it matter? Why does it matter may be the most important question you need to be asking. I recommend that you have a workshop with your team. You role play this out. You play with this. You wordsmith it. You just don't go pull something from the internet. I mean, that could be a place to get you started, but work it, wordsmith it, flesh it out, grind your ideas together. Look, there's an old saying that iron sharpens iron, right? When you get your team in together, you sharpen each other, you sharpen that mission statement, you pull everybody in to buy in so that it gives them hope and energy and purpose to move forward. So I want to challenge you to carve out some time to refine and rework and sharpen that mission statement for your team. Do that collaboratively with those around you. And then the final piece here I want to share with you is the use of storytelling in mission communication. So many leaders get stuck on just kind of rotely repeating the mission statement. We will do this, we will do this, we will do this. And it just becomes robotic. And eventually it collects dust on the wall, right? We frame it up on the wall. We don't even talk about it anymore. And so what elite leaders are able to do is create story to connect people back to that mission and back to that why. Talk about real world impact. Let me give you a couple of examples of that. Just think about a nurse in an emergency department. The mission might be talk about delivering excellent patient care, but what really motivates her, it's the story of the patient who walked out of the hospital alive because of her quick thinking, or the family that thanked her for being a steady presence in the moment of chaos. See, when your team knows the stories behind the mission and how that's lived out and what's the result of that, they feel its weight and its importance on a personal level. It becomes a part of them, and they want to live it out more frequently on a more regular basis. Maya Angelou once said that people will forget what you said. People will forget what you did, but people will never forget how you made them feel. That's the power of story, because story helps you connect people and their actions to their activities, and helps them live it out in a more purposeful way. So here's an action item for you as a leader. Identify 3 or 4 or 5 stories this week that reflect your mission in action. Look, it doesn't have to be healthcare related. As I shared, it can be anything. If you're a bank, if you're a manufacturing firm, accounting firm, whatever that is, find the story and use these stories in your team meetings and your one-on-ones as a way to connect people, onboarding new people, connect them to the mission and purpose of your organization. And this helps drive mission through clarity. These are things that elite leaders really need to continue to work on, to continue to develop within yourself skills that will propel you forward as an elite leader. Mission-driven success isn't exclusive to big organizations. I'm a very, very small team here at Harbour Resources, but our mission is really big and it's really important, and we talk about it all the time in all of our conversations, what we're trying to do. It has the power to transform outcomes. And I want to challenge you to get better at talking about the mission and the stories behind the mission. Here's what I hope. I hope that you found some value in episode 426. What we've talked about today is clarity and mission, how it aligns your team and inspires action and hope, why and how to craft that mission statement. Look, these in a 20-minute episode of a podcast, I can't share everything with you. There's lots of books, lots of resources that you can You can read, you can pick up, a copy of my book, Quit Losing Talent, also a copy of my book, Power Principles, just to give you some ideas. There's lots of books on crafting mission statements. You can watch YouTube videos. But what I'm challenging you to do is step out of your comfort zone and become growth-oriented. I can promise you, if you know my story, where I came from and to where I'm at today, it's a miracle. And it's all due to the growth, the personal development that I've done over the last 30 years. I hope you'll join me in that this year. Let this be your best year ever. Let this be the year you become an elite leader. I'm clear about my mission. I spend time working on and accomplishing what's most important around that mission for my team, for my customers, for my organization. See, that clarity starts with me. It starts with you as a leader. If you want other people to know where you're going, you got to start with yourself. Hey, I hope you found this episode valuable. Continue to listen. Leave us a review on your favorite listening platform. Share this episode with your colleagues and friends that you know need some inspiration. Continue to tune in to the Lead Up Podcast. We'll see you on the next episode.